All right, we are live.
Welcome back.
Yeah, we'll give it a few minutes for everybody to get on, but as always, welcome to the Reel Down on Monday nights. And if you're listening later on the podcast, which most people do, yeah, not a majority of our listeners are definitely on the podcast, but yeah. So how you doing, Jimmy, the bearded one?
What's up? Doing good. How about you up to?
Not much. Oh, we got old Armando in the house already, and Amanda Lockett. Hey.
What's up? What's up?
But yeah, the doing good, man. Just
How
hang.
how'd that tournament go this weekend?
It's weird how our points are. Oh, Justin, I like what you're saying there. But the yeah, we had our little Iron City throwdown, and it's a points event. And I didn't. It was like first, my boy Chuck destroyed everybody. It was only a 2 fish deal, and then the next 6 of us all were within an inch and a half, and then everybody, the rest of the people zeroed. So it kind of, I ended up in 7th, but I was an inch behind second, or I would have been second with another inch and a half.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, but the way our points work, it gave me 83 points for AOY, so I'm still leading that. But a lot
yeah.
of, like, there's 2 you can drop. So I fished the first 5, and some people didn't. So yes, we'll see how it's going to work out. But I have everything out. All my points are all like 82 and above for all they've been out of 100. So I've got one that's in the 60s, and I got higher than that, 5th out of 30. So it's crazy how our points work. So that one hurt me the most because it's like 62. I know
How
it's
many more events do you have before y'all
2.
lock in? 2?
Yeah, 2 more. And that's the big thing in our state here in Alabama is the top 10 from each club go at a classic. And there's also an open division. So if anybody wants to come fish it, it's going to be the weekend before the Hobie event on Neely Henry. So the Alabama Kayak Fishing Classic will be the weekend before Neely Henry. They have the championship division for all the clubs, top 10 in each club. They all go. And then the open division where anybody can fish. And it's always a great time. It's a boondoggle. You can camp before, and a lot of great people.
I think that it's $50 entry.
Is it?
I know they've been talking about it, and I know they posted it. I can't remember, but I think they made the entry the same. And we're just going to try to get a bunch of folks down there. So come on down to Neely Henry and free fish for the Hobie. You know, it'll be a good time. You'll get to see how the Alabama clubs do everything, a whole bunch of cut-ups.
Yep. And that's great guys. The last couple of years we've had it down on the Coosa River, and that was great for spots. But like I got 7th the last 2 years, and because I went to the lake. You could either fish the river where the big spots are at, or you could go to the lake. And I'm a dummy, and I like lakes, so I went to the lake, and they were all catching monster spots. And
it's sad to say I haven't even gone down there for the open division, and that's like my kind of fishing.
Yeah,
and I haven't done it.
Yeah, serious like rapids, like real.
I know they've got like class 2s and I think class 3s.
Yeah, I never did it, but I never had that kayak to do it. Always had larger lake boats. But I always heard that you could go around. You didn't actually have to do a rapid.
Oh yeah.
I just wasn't prepared for it and didn't really want to do it. But now I got my flint coming, so I got on order. I'm ready to go. I'm going to get in on Smat River stuff with you. And
dude, as soon as you get it, we're gonna go break it in.
That should be fun.
Oh yeah, I got you.
But yeah, it's been a few minutes, so we'll go ahead and get started. Tonight we have 2 of. It seems like every week we're having the best guest, and the best guest a lot of the times is Cody Milton. So here he is, Cody Milton. He's been on a lot, and we also have the former KBF national champion Matt Ball. Thanks, guys, for being on the show.
What's up, guys?
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So yeah, if somebody is living under a rock and they've never met you, never heard of you, and they're just getting into kayak fishing, we'll start with you, Matt. Tell us all about yourself and how you got into kayak fishing.
Well, I'm Matt Ball. I am I live in Little Hocking, Ohio, and I fish the local Mountain State kayak anglers and West Virginia kayak anglers, and there's about 3 southern West Virginia kayak anglers. There's a bunch of clubs in West Virginia that I fish. That's how I got into tournament fishing.
You're on the border. I had to look it up, right?
Yeah, I am right. Actually, I started. I have fished a few of the Ohio's clubs, but I am actually more West Virginia where I live than Ohio. I'm right on the Ohio River. Live on the border near Parkersburg, West Virginia. So a lot of the Ohio events are a little farther away for me than the West Virginia events. Plus, I love rivers. But anyway, that's how I got into kayak tournament fishing, was fishing the local stuff, and won the national championship in 2016, the first one, and it's been a whirlwind since. I've been really blessed with a lot of opportunities in this sport, and got to meet a ton of people and make friends all across the country, and I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, it's just so many opportunities now to travel, and this year, besides this year, it's kind of sucked, but
yeah.
I've made friends all across the country that I value all that. That's been the biggest plus of really what I've been doing.
Gotcha.
Heck yeah, man.
And one thing y'all have both done, y'all were both Pan American Bass Kayak Championship champions together. So
yeah. We won a gold medal together.
We did. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really kind of hated that it had to be it got canceled, or I think it's pretty much canceled for the year. I haven't got that word for sure, but it was supposed to be in where was it, Cody?
It was in the lake
Panama.
On Panama Canal.
Oh.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to Panama. So
yeah.
But that got canceled because of all this, and then they were thinking of reschedule, and I haven't heard any more about that. So,
that's a title that no one else is. I don't know, like national champion. That's pretty awesome, but a Pan Am gold medal holder, that's just.
Y'all have medals. That's awesome.
Like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we had an incredible team with just some awesome anglers, and had a great time. Honestly, that was the first kayak event that they had, and really, a lot of people, I didn't personally even really know what to expect, but I was blown away by it, to be honest with you. It was really probably one of the highlights of my career is fishing in that. It was fun. It really was. I mean, I think they have high hopes for, doing some type of qualification in the future for that, which will make it even better, with having guys, fish their way into it. It was an invite for the first one, which, I was honored to get that chance. And so, got in that way. But, I think they've got plans to keep it going, and this COVID kind of sidetracked it.
Yeah, it'd definitely be tough to have Aaron, people from across the Americas come. Yeah. All right, so Cody, if again, if somebody doesn't know who you are, tell them all about yourself, man.
I'm Cody Milton. I live in Central Arkansas, kind of about 40 minutes from Little Rock. There's not a whole lot around. There's a college called Harding University, but that's about it. We got a lot of lakes and rivers. Actually, I guide on a rainbow trout and brown trout stream. Like, it's probably 15 minutes from my house. Like the majority of the 32 miles of waters. So, that's growing up. I mean, it was summers, fly fishing, brown trout fishing, things like that. But yeah, and I've been doing the kayak. This is my fifth full year. This will be my fifth full year. Actually, I bought a kayak 5 years ago to fish offshore. I was living in Orlando at the time, playing on a mini tours down in Florida, some of those golf tours. And I got in we live by Cocoa Beach. There was world-class red fishing, world-class sail fishing 2 hours south. So I actually got in a send and sunk it a few times and ended up getting a Hobie. But yeah, we had a few Coast Guard calls. I think 3 Coast Guard calls in a year down there. So yeah, it was fun. I got into it saltwater fishing. So, and then I'd learned of, I believe it was the KBS was the first thing I ever learned of. And they had an event on the St. John's down in Florida. I went and thought I could sight fish in a send with no power pole and just got blown around for 8 hours and went home. Didn't catch a bass. It was my first tournament. And I fished 4 or 5 that year, and later found the KBF that year. And yeah, it's kind of just been, I've been going at it pretty hard from that point forward.
Yeah, living the dream, doing it 24/7.
I knew you were a guide, but I did not know that you were a fly fishing guide.
I do both. Honestly, this year I've probably only done, I don't know, like around 15 or so trips this year. It may, like, when school gets out and when school goes back, like, that's when you do a lot of trips. And, like, that hasn't been as much of a thing this year, you know? So,
I'm definitely
it's
going to keep you in mind then, though, for real.
Oh, yeah. It's Tailwater Fishing Company. Do, like, North Fork, White River, but it really actually on the Little Red River. It's
Okay,
one of my
that's
best
cool.
friends. He's been doing it full time since a sophomore in college. So it's been almost 9 years now. He's been doing it full time.
That's cool.
And yeah, he does like around 280 trips a year or so. So I do like some double bookings and things like that.
And this is something Scott Butcher said. These two men are building a legendary reputation in the sport that I believe will leave them both in the kayak fishing Hall of Fame. I don't think you can say it any better than that and be more, like y'all are two leaders in our sport. So really, both thank y'all for being on show. And that's kind of some of the questions that we're definitely going to talk about the tournament. But I know I've just got some general questions but we'll get into those a little bit later. But so we'll start with you, Matt. Tell us all about Lake Monroe, the KBF. If somebody's never been to that lake, how did it set up, and tell us about your day one.
Well, that lake, it was a lake that was not too awful far from home. So when I seen it on the list, I was like, that was one I was planning on hitting.
Yeah, getting that one.
Because it was 5 hours away. That's reasonable. I got up super early Friday morning. I'd never seen the lake. I did some research on it. Talked to a buddy that I work with that had been there and just kind of got some spots that he said, yeah, check this out. He'd fished there, or he had a friend that had fished there. So I kind of went and I just picked I love small water, to be honest with you. I just kind of my where I focus when I'm looking at any water. So I kind of looked back up the creeks and I found a spot that I thought, man, that's where I want to go. And I got there at about 12 o'clock on Friday, put in, and it was a muddy, probably about 6 inches of water, most of it. And so I poled my way through and torpedoed back as far as I could. I think I covered, that day total, pre-fishing from 11 o'clock until dark. I think I covered 20 miles of water. I mean, that's going in and out. I added it all up. So, and I found I left pre-fishing. I went to 2 different ramps and I had 0 keepers. So I wasn't real excited about my chances. But I did find something on the main lake that I really liked at the end of the day on pre-fishing. And I thought, that's what I'm going to do, because it gave me some options. There was some docks that I could hit. There was a break wall that I knew that I could probably get some fish off of. And there was a bridge, it narrowed down to a bridge. You can always, usually catch a fish on a bridge. So, I knew, because I stayed with Cody and Jackson. So, we were all staying together. So I knew they had been there fishing and they had done well. So I was I was thinking, man, I ain't figured anything out. I'm in trouble.
This is about to go bad.
Yeah. But, it's that way with pre-fishing. A lot of my best tournaments have come when I didn't find anything pre-fishing. I just went with my gut when I started fishing. So, but anyway, I launched day one, on the day I won. I launched, out of Paintown and, caught 2 fish early, and, got to look. I uploaded them and then looked at the leaderboard, and I seen that nobody was catching any fish.
Yeah.
And about 7 o'clock, the bass boats started showing up, and then the jet skis and the pleasure boats and the party boats.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, and it was 96 degrees, I think, that day, and it was just horrible. So I spent till about 11 o'clock on that main lake, just getting beat up, getting cut off. There was a lot of people, pre-fishing for the tournament the next day out of bass boats. And, So there was just people running in and out and checking spots. And it was just, I was thinking, man, this is not going to be good. So I made the call to, even though my first spot was a muddy mess and I had to go about 2 miles before I got into fishable water. And a lot of it was too shallow to even paddle through. You had to push your way through it, and got there and figured something out. I had an hour to go. I didn't have any service there. And, so I had 2 fish when I got there, and by the time I got back to the spot, it was noon, and I figured I had to leave the spot by 1 o'clock because it took me an hour to get from where I was fishing back to the ramp, and then another probably 15 minutes to find cell service. So I knew I only had an hour, but man, they were on fire. I caught probably 6 fish and lost a giant, and had to leave, and uploaded my fish and ended up winning. But I caught them all on buzzbait in 90 degree water in probably 6 inches of water. Most of them. You would never dream that they would be even remotely active in that kind of condition. And honestly, it's just one of those things. It's fishing, but what I was doing, I was in such a hurry that I couldn't really finesse fish. So I tied on a buzzbait and I was just searching.
Yeah.
And as I was torpedoing back at a good clip, I was just targeting everything that looked like a fishy spot, and I started getting bites, and and I caught fish that way. And so that was day one. I made an audible and went to a spot that I didn't have a lot of faith in, and there was nobody there. There was one guy, a guy I met. He was fishing the SIAC event, but not the KBF event. He was there, and we passed each other about the same time because I seen him there pre-fishing. And so him and I talked a little bit. But so that was day one. And then I decided day two, since I won, I gotta go day two,
Yeah, heck yeah.
And I went back and caught him the same way, but I finished well on day two.
You got fifth out of 49. I mean, that's good day.
But I lost. I didn't lose fish on day two, but they weren't hitting the buzzbait with accuracy. It was. I missed a lot of big fish. Missed the bite. The bait, and that was
it still muddy, real bad?
Oh yeah. It was. Well, it wasn't muddy where I was so much muddy where I was fishing. It was just so shallow and so washed out that you couldn't actually paddle through a lot of it. It was just a swamp to get back in there. But anyway, once I did, but that morning, the morning bite, I had probably 5 big fish miss my buzzbait, and I was really getting frustrated. And then the wheels started coming off, and I just pulled over in the shade and just kind of regrouped and retied some stuff, put a trailer hook on, threw a whopper plopper a couple times, thinking maybe they wouldn't miss it a little bit, but kind of bared down and caught a limit. And but it was a little tougher day too, and there was a lot of it was hard to believe. There was probably 3 other kayakers for sure back there on day two. But what really got me was there were 2 bass boats came in there, and I don't know how they got back there. And one of them went by me back in that canal on full plane. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So it was crazy day two.
It's all fun and games until you rip the foot off.
Oh, it was crazy. With him going, but that bass boat going through there, I just couldn't believe it.
Daddy's boat, I guess.
But honestly, it's probably the only way he could get in there. Like I said,
keeping just the prop in the water, yeah.
And here, I'll give all the finishers. You got first on day one with 76.75. Jimmy McClurkin in second with 74.5. Brennan McDougall 73. Jim Strunk from SIAC 70.75. And Mike Elsey, the current national championship champion, with 69 3/4. And then day two, Cody, 82 inches, the big bag of the tournament. Samuel Murray in second with 80 1/4. Brian Sparks third with 76 1/4. Mike Elsey again, and I missed his number here. It must have been 75.5. And then Matt, you got 72 inches on day 2. So, I mean, there was a lot of big names in this tournament, and a lot of local people, even people from that area, did poorly. So it was, congratulations to y'all to everyone who was able to catch a limit, because definitely not everybody did.
Well, I'll tell you, I got a little bit of that's happened. That happens a lot on local lakes because, and I've done it myself. When you're fishing water that you know really well and it's really tough, sometimes you fish history, and myself, I had nothing to go on, so I was just kind of just trying anything, and I think, I lucked into figuring something out late, and that helped me big. If I'd have stayed on the main lake that day and fished what most people were generally catching fish there, I don't know that I'd have gotten a limit on day 1.
Yeah,
and it was, part of the reason I went to the creek too was for the shade. It was miserable.
It was so hot.
When I thought, man, I need to get somewhere where I can get some shade, or I'm just going to quit.
I was feeling for y'all. We fished a throwdown on Gunnersville Sunday, and I was dying. And then I was just kind of looking through Tourney X and was like, God, these guys are still grinding it out there.
Gunnersville was probably more miserable, I bet.
It was bad. You couldn't, where I was at, there's no shade.
Yeah.
And my bite was deep grass off of the mats, so you're having to get as far away from the shade as you can to find a bite. It was sucked. Well, Cody, how did your day 1 go? Because I know you finished in the top. I think you were 23rd day 1, something like that.
I caught one bass like at 8 o'clock, I think.
Well, tell us how that went, and then tell us, what was your audible? How'd you change it around?
So I got there Wednesday, and I guess we stayed at a barn. I met Jackson at a barn on Lake Monroe. So I got there. I fished all day Wednesday. In
a barn with hay,
yeah,
with a horse.
It was like a nice barn, but it was it was a barn.
It was a fancy barn.
It was a fancy barn. Yeah.
I thought he said bar.
Bar.
Oh, no. All right.
Yeah, Jackson's hitting the bars now.
Let's just put that out there.
Hey man, don't spread rumors.
But so first 6 hours on the lake, I think I had 92.5 inches or something in really pretty skinny water, flipping and throwing a swim bait. And I liked it. I really, really liked the area. And it was a long ways from a boat ramp. It was 3 miles away. It had a lot going for it. It was the only creek I found gizzard shad in for 5 days, or for 3 days. And they just there was a boat that at night fished back there all night. They literally fished all night long, they said. But I don't know. I kind of wondered if that threw it off, if I should have stayed past noon. But I didn't get it. I got one. I never even caught a fish back there. I caught a fish going back to the ramp. That I kind of wonder if I would have stayed if they might have fired from 12 to 2. I think they may have. I don't know. But I went back and got a spinning rod and then caught a couple of catfish off a bridge, and then that was it. It was miserable. Matt will tell you. I was on my way home. I was so fed up with it. And
I talked him into staying.
No, there was not 2 better people you could have been staying with than Matt Ball and Jackson Orr. It's greatest attitudes. Making you want to stay.
It just can't get them down type guys.
Yeah. Oh no, Jackson had a worse day than me, and you wouldn't have been able to tell. Breaks a drive on a lake that he knows better than anybody. It's even worse. But yeah, I don't know. I wish that, and I hadn't had a shower in 5 days. Dude, it was a brutal practice. It was. And honestly, the other 2 days I didn't really catch anything. So it was hero or zero. I felt and yeah, it was terrible. I got one bass and finished 20 and something. And
so did Matt kind of clue you in? They were up dirt shallow, and you were like, "Dude, dirt shallow. That's my middle name."
Yeah, and that's. I did that, but it wasn't on a river as much. It was on a creek where I was doing it.
Gotcha.
And so I started on the main lake the second day, on some culvert, and caught one fish, I think by 8 o'clock, and it was a 17-incher. And it was the oddest thing in the world. I just started throwing a whopper plopper down the bank. And I'm turning to the left, and I'm about to reel it in and make another cast. And this fish has it in its mouth. And I just not fighting, nothing. And I just picked the rod up and put it in the boat. And it never fought, didn't jump, nothing.
It's too hot for him too.
That was a gift
Yeah.
from the fishing gods.
Yeah.
Like, here you go.
I think he hit it, and I never moved it after he hit it because like I turned to the left and looked back, and he was right there, and I just dumped him in the boat. So that was the only fish I caught on the main lake, a 17-incher, just like skinny as all get out. And so yeah, I went up the north. I went up a north river at this like DNR ramp I'd found in practice, similar to like Matt, but like on the north side, I guess. And sure enough, like I got there and there was one car there and it was Mike Elsey. And I looked at the leaderboard and saw he had like 70 inches. I'm like, oh, I might catch a fish now. And I really didn't catch one for a while. Like I took my motor off, took my graphs off, took everything out of the boat. Like I paddled all that second day. Like I just used a couple of rods. I had 2 flipping sticks and a buzz bait. And I broke a buzzbait rod, so then I just had 2 flipping rods. And yeah, I put in on that creek and fished. I fished the wood in the middle of the creek. Like I didn't really catch anything on the edges of it. Like I was flipping like 12-foot wood with like a 5/16 and 3/4 ounce creature bait. And my 4th fish was probably like a 17-incher, and I had 25-pound fluorocarbon, just flip them in the boat, like all of them. And I flip it in the boat, and the thing just breaks. Like, and I was like, it's still just as bad as it was. Like, even though I got 3 bites, it's still terrible. And it broke, and I was like, this was like 1 o'clock probably. Like, at that point, like I didn't have a rod with a bait on it at 1, like not a rod. And so I was like, well, I think I had 3 fish, or that would have been my 5th or something. And I retied and put on just 1/2 ounce flipping weight in 1.5 ounce weight, because there was one grass mat I saw. It was more like a trash mat. I'll post a picture of it later, actually. And
bottles and everything.
So I made it. Yeah, I made it to this trash mat at like 155. And first flip in there, like I catch a 19.5-incher, like 156, and it was my 5th fish.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the second punch I'd made all day. There was like one little grass mat I'd punched on and didn't catch anything, but yeah, it was like the biggest grass mat with a laydown on it, and it was like up past the laydown, it was just trash mat. And just as soon as it punched through in 10 foot of water, the rod just loaded up. Like I could have cried. Like
the punch and bite's so addictive already.
No, it is. Yeah.
Like
really
there's
is.
nothing like top water's great and everything. When you feel it bust through the mat and it goes slack and you feel that just hammer.
Yeah.
And then like 4 minutes before the line's in time, like I'd have been freaking out. Like
it was cool too, because like it was like a 9-foot mat. Like it had 9-10 foot under it. And he was sitting just right under it. Like it just like popped through and he got it. Like it was how it was supposed to be.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I think that was a 19.5-inch coal with like 3 or 4 minutes left. And last year I had like a 11-inch coal with this. I mean, I caught a 23 3/4 on Gunnersville that coaled like a 14-incher, and I think I went up like 4 spots with that one. But it was pretty crazy. Like one of the guys, there was one other guy in the creek, and he passed me at like probably 140 because I was just right by my car. And he passed me like at the boat ramp and goes back, and he like is driving past at like 2 o'clock, and he was like, "Did you get one?" Because I was like smiling on the phone, and he was like, "I got it."
Oh, there you go. Oh, we
lost your audio.
Yeah, I'm blank.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, so the guy had left early, and he's like driving by, and I was like, "I got him." It definitely felt pretty good.
Well, here, for everybody that's watching, you're going to have to show the picture in your background. Eric Sadiq is saying, I like that picture in the background. Thanks, Cody, for being my biggest fan.
This is my shrine.
Yeah, I like it.
That's awesome.
I think he said it was that's like his final fish, the 2018 Border City Classic winner. Yeah. So
and if you're listening on the podcast, you'll have to go back and see the live thing because he put the note on there that you wrote for him too, but I won't share that with everybody. Yeah.
Oh, I see that. That's great. That's cool. Well, it was an awesome event, guys. It's cool to, it sounds like it was tough fishing all around, and it just kind of worked out for both of you.
Yeah, what Cody didn't mention is him and I, neither one just about didn't even make it to the lake on day 2.
Yeah, I forgot.
Oh, really? Somebody locked the barn or
No, we
stampede?
Cody woke me up about time lines in was at the truck. We overslept. He's like, dude, are you going fishing? I'm like, what time is it? He's like, it's like almost 6. I'm like, holy crap, what happened? So, and we had to lock the place up, and I'm like, dude, this is. I drove to the ramp in a pair of shorts, no shirt, and just what I was sleeping in, and I was sleeping with my feet sticking out the window of the truck. Cody's knocking on the door. He's like, dude, we overslept. I'm like, oh crap. Yeah, so I didn't get to the ramp on day 2 until well after lines in, well after that. So, but it was probably just as well. You couldn't see where you were going there anyway.
Well, what's cool is, you go in with this plan. This is how this should go. And then it seems like you just not really, I don't want to say wing it, but it speaks a lot how you just kind of like Cody was saying, took the motor off, took all the graphs out, just time to put your head down and get to it.
I didn't need to graph on day 2 where I was at, other than trying to find my way back out of there.
Yeah. I see, I feel you on that. I'm a creek guy myself, and there's a lot of times like I've got that Element 9 from Ray Marine, and most of the time I don't know why I bought it because I'm usually so shallow it's just freaking out. So,
well, I love my.
And when I was saying I took 2 graphs off in a Mega 360, so it was. I was
Cody's running 2.
Yeah.
So what?
I was looking at too much.
There's no way I would not have done what I did without a Torqeedo in that heat. Period. 100%. I covered just an insane amount of water quickly with that, and so I mean the key to my success on this one for sure was that Torqeedo on my Liska, because it's a light boat. It was easy to throw back in. I just had it in the back of the truck. I didn't take my trailer. I didn't, and when I changed my plan midday on day 1, I didn't have to go to a busy ramp. I backed in at the state park and just drug over the bank. So I pulled right up behind my truck, drug my boat up over, threw it in the truck, and just took off. So it was quick. And when I decided, you're sitting there, 2 miles from where you parked, and you think, man, it's time to change. It doesn't even go through your mind at that point, well, it's going to take me this long to get back. You just put the hammer down and take off. And it's a big advantage. It really is. And then when I got there, I had to go almost 1.5 miles to get to fishable water. Yeah. And I actually, I don't know, you've seen those old tiller boats that they run in the swamps with.
Like Go Devil.
Oh,
yeah. That's what I used until I would actually get the boat stuck. I had that Torqeedo pinned on full throttle, holding the motor up and just running it in nothing, and just to get back there fast. It was crazy. I mean, I've got that innovative sportsman rock guard on that Torqeedo, and anybody out there that ever has a Torqeedo or will buy a Torqeedo, you have to put those things. You can abuse your Torqeedo motor if you have one of those on there, because I did. I was hitting stumps. I was hitting at full speed. I broke two clips that hold my steering on from hitting stumps so hard that it broke the pins. So I keep extra in the boat. I got out in the mud and sunk up to my ankles to reclip my steering back on. It was just that rock guard just will save it. And so that I don't know that in that heat, if I would have paddled back there with that little bit of time. Period.
It would have definitely sucked way worse. I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
I was pedaling and paddling on Gunnersville all day Sunday, and it was terrible.
So, but besides the tournament, we'll move in some other stuff here. What y'all are obviously great. Like, you don't have to be humble. I won't embarrass you, but you're two of the best in sport. Is there something that y'all maybe you can give some advice to some other anglers of things that you see that differentiate the people between the people who are at the top of the game, y'all are, or one of the other greats in our sport right now, and some people who are kind of more coming up and haven't gotten to that level yet? Is there any advice you would give to those people?
I mean, the biggest thing I see, and I was talking about, staying with Jackson, I saw it. And I think you always tend to see it more in younger people, but it's just, it's just a drive that's a lot stronger than most people. I mean, I've told a couple people this, like Jackson was up at 4:50 every day and back at like 9 o'clock at night.
He left and we overslept.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's what happened. The one night he wasn't there. And it's like, there's no like teaching that. I mean, you can say that and stuff, but I mean, it's really, that's discipline at the end of the day, and that goes a really long ways in practice and in fishing in general.
I think it's preparation and
yeah.
I mean, just soaking in, it's just like anything. If you love it, you soak in all the information you can. I read everything. I listen to everything I can. I watch stuff and map study and learning what the fish, kind of learning what you what you think the fish are going to do, and then putting that all together in your mind. And it takes more time to be successful off the water than it does on the water.
100%.
Because when you're, everybody can go out, anybody can go out and luck into some fish, but when you can consistently find them, that leads to the preparation. I mean, when you've got guys like Cody and Jody Queen and I mean the list goes on, those guys are just, they're students of the fish. You talk to people that you gravitate towards those kind of people because you learn so much about just sitting down and having dinner with someone like Jody Queen or Jeff Little, people that just they're professors of this kind of stuff. So you learn how to take that in your brain, and if you're willing to soak it up, you can learn a lot. And I learn something new every day. I've learned stuff from Cody. Matter of fact, I'll be honest, I'll tell you, I ran into Cody about 3 years ago on
East and West,
or maybe 4 years ago, East-West Harbor.
Yep.
East-West Harbor, we were fishing, and I'd done really well in that event, but I loved the drop shot, but I had never used robo worms. Oh. And he's like, dude, you're not using a robo worm? I'm like, no. He handed me 2 Morning Dawn robo worms. He said, give these a try.
Why do them color worms work? Like
I would never pick one of those up. He's like, dude, try one of these. I've caught more fish on that color on Great Lakes than probably any other color.
I'll say this: if I'm throwing a drop shot, that's the worm and the color that's on it. If it's not working, I'm not throwing the drop shot.
On Gunnersville, I love the drop shot. That color is ridiculous in the grass. I don't know why, but if you can find grass that's sparse enough to drag a drop shot through, you will catch good fish in Gunnersville on a drop shot. So
there's my tip of the day that I'm taking away from this.
I'll never know why like pink and purple worm for a drop shot work, and except for maybe like a plum or something in the summer and a ribbon tail. I really don't throw a pink or a purple any other time. I don't know what that's supposed to imitate or anything else.
No,
the only thing I've ever
came
thought
out
is
with a color finesse worm that I really like even better because it'll last all day. I can't think of the name of the color of it, but I started using that. It's just really good. But either the Robo Worm in the Morning Dawn or that Z-Man crap, I can't think of the name of it, but that is on my drop shot first thing when I tie one on.
No.
So,
I've always wondered if it had to do with a lot of threadfin have a purple line on their side.
yeah.
And I've always wondered if that might be part of it, especially bigger threadfin. But I don't know. It's the only answer I've ever been able to come up with.
That's better than the one I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, people ask, how does it work? It just does.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
like it. So,
And you know, I was fishing one of the big tournaments there. Lake Fork, not Lake Fork, Toledo Bend, and ran into a guy at a boat ramp, and he's like, "Well, hey, you guys doing any good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been kind of struggling." He said, "Man, throw a robo worm in that grass." I'm like, "In this grass?" He's like, "Seriously?" He said, "They'll tear it up down here," and that was during that was a 2-day event. Day 2, I only had one fish on day 1. Day 2, I did that and I caught fish. So that's when I kind of started thinking, man, I can throw a drop shot in this grass, because you know it's amazing what that little tiny hook will drag in. I mean, and not get grass on it. So you know, you think, well, I can't throw an exposed hook in that grass, but it's such a small hook that you can pull it through that grass and pop it out of there, and I think that triggers the bites a lot of times. So it's one of my favorite techniques. And now you can't throw it in thick grass, but if you find that grass that's just starting to spread out a little bit, man, that's what I would really like to look for.
You've got like, I'm listening to you, but my head is spinning on like areas on Gunnersville. I know I'm trying to think of somewhere that's got like thinner, sparse grass. I can go try this.
Yeah, and it's I know a drop shot and like sparse grass, just having that leader long enough to keep it above the grass, but still have, you know.
That's a big Maytime thing on Chick, especially too. I mean, all those lakes, but yeah, I got on a killer bite in front of Chester Frost. Just like the grass was only a foot tall, and my just drop shot was 16 inches, and you just drag it through the top of it.
Yep.
But yeah, it works.
So here's. Oh, go ahead.
That's something I've always wondered about drop shot, like leader length the time of year. Because like I know in the winter, a guy told me like he keeps his leader in the cold water, the length of whatever the bait he's throwing. So, you know, his leader might be 9 inches and stuff like that. He keeps it really close to the bottom. And I've always wondered like how I would go about adjusting that for summer. But it's a good idea. I might have to keep it in mind.
It varies.
Yeah.
If I'm vertically dropping on them and it's really clean, I've ran 6-foot leaders at like 6 foot from the weight to the hook, like at Hartwell and stuff, a lot. Or even Table Rock if I'm dropping on them and they won't eat a spoon or something. But yeah, I mean, generally, I don't know. I really had a theory for a long time, like the water, because generally I think fish see almost twice the water depth that we see. So I always thought like if whatever the water color was, I made the leader length that or twice as long a lot of times, which in clear water where your drop shot usually tends to be kind of long.
Right.
But I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something you can play around with, and it makes a big difference though.
So here's kind of, if we're talking about the difference between a good angler and great angler, the adverse of that is what's something that that maybe you think is a hole in your game or something that you think you can improve on.
Oh, punching. You guys were just talking about that.
Yeah, 19s, man, they live in there. That's something that I swore this year I was going to start doing, and just go one day and just do nothing. But I don't live. I have some spots that I could do that, and I need to go do it. They're on some strip mine ponds up here where I'm at. I need to just leave all my frogs and leave everything else, the Senkos at home, and just take nothing but that. And just
once you figure it out, man, it's so addictive.
So I caught one fish. My first fish ever on a punching was this year at the Hobie event on Seminole, and there was floating. I don't even know what it was, but the bite was horrible for that event. Honestly, it was brutal.
And I caught 2 fish.
Day one, I caught some fish pre-fishing, but day one, I watched 2 bass boats hit this bank twice that I in an area that I was at, and I thought when they left, I thought I'm gonna go over there and see what they were doing, and I knew they were punching. I went over and I tied on a 1 ounce weight and a palmetto bug from a Z-Man palmetto bug, and the first pitch that I hit through that, I caught a fish. I'm like, this can't be that easy, and I fished the rest of that day trying it, never caught anything, but I did catch my only fish on day one of that tournament because I only caught one fish on day one, and then I tore him up on day two, but I caught it punching. But I thought, I got to get better at this. And the key is just, what I don't like about it, and what I don't like about it is it's hard to cover water when you do it, because you're in thick stuff, and you've got to just basically force yourself to punch around where you're at, I guess, and then move on. But I just never done it that much.
It's really hard to confidently do it because, most of the time you're looking for 7 to 8 bites throughout a day. And granted, those are the right bites, but that's hard to do in an 8-hour period. There's a lot of people that are better at it. Russ is unbelievable at it. He keeps beating us all doing things like that. But, it's hard to keep your head down and have confidence you are going to get bites. Because, you do. It's just like what Matt said. You're not covering water. You're looking at the same thing and hitting like a lot of the same stuff. It gets miserable after a little while.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say. Is that from my experience with punching, it is you're looking for basically the same thing, and you're looking at a lot of it. And it's like you said, you got to put your head down and commit, and you're going to pitch and all day. Like, like you said, you're just looking for a couple of bites, man. But those bites are so intense, though.
Dude, you're on a quick route to back surgery too if you're a big flipper too.
Yeah.
And so here's a question that let me find it,
Scott.
But yeah, Scott. So, but besides this event, because it was obviously tough, what was the last body of water that you fished that just beat you down mentally?
Monroe here, first day in practicing here. I would say, honestly, I was really bummed out after that first day. This was a brutal week. It ended nicely, but it was a long, hard week. I would say here. I know it's close, but yeah.
For me, I struggled. I really had a rough time at. The worst feeling I had after a tournament was the first tournament. Really, maybe the second tournament. It was the KBF event on Santee Cooper this year. I left that one defeated because I'm not super confident when I go into a tournament. I never am. But I was telling Cody and Jackson the other day that. On pre-fishing for that event, I was on the fish, and I intentionally wasn't even trying to. I figured something out with a swim jig that was just ridiculous. I was on the phone with Richard Penny, just talking about some stuff with Jackson at the Jackson kayak at the time, and I caught 5 fish. I was torpedoing through these channels and just not even paying attention and throwing that swim jig, and they were just almost jerking the rod out of my hand. And I told Richard, I was like, I'm going to win this tomorrow. And there was alligators all around me. It was ridiculous. The amount of, and I would catch a fish and I just I'm leaving. And on my way out, I'd see something that looks similar and I'd throw it out and I'd catch another one. And
just easy.
And then it was ridiculous. And the next day was supposed to be the same. It was cold, but sunny. And I was like, man, it's going to set up just the same way. And everybody I'd talked to wasn't catching fish either. That was the other thing, and I didn't get a bite all day, not a bite. I left that tournament. Of course, that was about a week and a half on the road that I was doing, because I went with my buddy Tim. We drove overnight to Seminole and got there that morning and fished, and then fished the event. And then I was supposed to meet Scott Ucher to do some filming, and then on the way to Cody, the bass event that was right
Yeah.
at
Logan.
Logan Martin. Logan Martin. Is it Logan Martin? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I left Seminole, or not Seminole. Shoot, that was it. That was the worst. That was the worst. I got done with that tournament. I was like, wait, why am I putting myself through this? And I did spend a week away from home, away from the wife and the kids, and I did all right at Lake Logan Martin because it kind of set up pretty good for me with them, spots. And but I didn't do as well as I'd hoped. But I did catch fish. But that was a tough couple weeks there span, and then all this COVID stuff hit, and it just. It's felt good I've kind of gotten into my groove here with the last few tournaments. Did really well on, the Susquehanna, which is absolutely probably my favorite place to go now. and then, finished in the money on both of those days. And then this one. So it's easy to get beat down, but you got to pick your head up and keep going because it's fishing. I mean, you look at, honestly, and I don't want to make this sound, but even myself, I look at Cody and Cody or Jody Queen or any of these guys, Christine, all these people that are always really doing well, and you think when you see them have a day like that, it's encouraging to others because it is just fishing. There's not a secret pill. You've just got to keep doing it. You got to keep fishing. You got to enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, you can't do it. But every one of us, all those people have absolutely tanked at some point. And that is nothing. That's just fishing, but it's easy when you do it yourself to take that internally and think, man, I suck. I'm a farce. Nobody.
It is. Yeah.
I can't catch fish. Why? People aren't going to think I could even catch fish after this. What? It's embarrassing.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think
I could get 5 bites on a lake anywhere in the country after Saturday. I mean, I really felt that way. Like that's
everybody feels that way. So that's what I'm going to say to those guys that go out and have these events like that. And we've all been there. And we will again. I mean, that happens to all of us. And if that's how you learn,
And like one of the worst parts now is, you're trying to do right by your sponsors. So you come back and you're trying to figure out that great positive text. Oh, I got something positive from this one, and my gear was great, and it was just me. Oh man, that's terrible too.
All I could say is I'm positive I sucked.
Yeah. So a selfish, kind of a selfish question for me, Matt. I know you're a hardworking guy, and for the family men out there, one question I like to ask is, how do you find that the time, and how do you? Yeah, I saw that I think your son was on here earlier, and he said, "Hey, Matt, just how do you find the time, and how do you do that with a family? How are you able to spend time and do it?"
The key for me, and I actually talked to Cody about this the other day. We were sitting around.
That's what we were talking about.
Sweat. You've got to have your priorities right. This. It's easy for others to look at my social media page sometimes and think, man, this is the biggest thing in Matt Ball's life. It's not. This is by far way down the list. My faith, my family, and honestly, my job have to be at the top of that list. If you don't keep those priorities in line, you're going to fail when you do the stuff like this the hardest part for me is I love doing this. I would love to have the opportunity to walk away from DuPont and just do this for a living because I love it. But, you've got to keep your head on your shoulders and realize that I've got 5 family members relying on me. And that's where, so this isn't the most important thing in my life, but I take it very seriously. Yeah. It's just a balance. But, there's a lot of times when, a lot of people are like, oh, Matt's not fishing this tournament. He must, not want to support this organization or that organization. Well, what it usually boils down to is Matt's got something else really important going that weekend. Kids stuff, going on, or, this year was really going to be kind of tough. A couple of the biggest tournaments of the year fell when we were moving one of my graduation from college, moving the kids back to college, moving them home from college, weddings, but I won't sacrifice those for this ever. But I've got a very supportive family that absolutely is behind me. That's the only way I can do it, is having them support what I'm doing. And by me putting them first, that's how I keep that support, in my opinion.
And God help us whenever you retire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. He's hoping for the opportunity to do it for a living. At the rate he's going, it can't be far off.
It's
DuPont pays pretty good.
Yeah, it does. I've been blessed with a great job. I really have, and I'm going to have 2 in college for quite a while. I've got 4 kids, and they're stacked to where I've got 2 in college. So
that's why he does this. He has got to pay for them college. Oh my kids, this is where all that money goes.
So what?
That's where my first national championship check went. So
hey, that's money well spent. And it keeps them from coming back one day. Having a good education.
I want them to come back.
So what events do y'all have coming up next?
I'll be at East and West Harbor this weekend. I should get there sometime tomorrow afternoon around lunch is what I'm planning on. So, but yeah, I think Matt, you're coming Sunday, right? One day.
Yeah, I've got a family, have friends of ours. They have their daughter's getting married Saturday, so I'm going to be at that. And then East West Harbor is about a little over 4 hours away, so hopefully by the time we help clean up from the wedding, I'll get in the truck and drive up and pull in a parking lot and wake up and see if I can figure something out on Sunday at East West Harbor. And then after that, I'm going to be hitting the Susquehanna for the Hobie event. I'd love to get up to Lake George for the KBF event. That's a bucket list place. I really like that place. I've never been there, but I like the looks of it. It's a deep, clear water smallmouth fishery that I really want to fish. But it's about 10 hours, which, I don't mind traveling. It's a matter of other things going on in life. But so I've got Susquehanna, I've got East West Harbor, and then I'm going to hit the Coosa Hobie event as well later in the year.
Are either one of y'all planning on going up to La Crosse for the bass event?
I can't make that one, but I'm going to fish.
He's fishing it. He doesn't want y'all to go.
I would love to fish that one. And that's the other thing that I've got to be careful about is vacation time. See, I work. I'm a shift worker, so weekends. Just because there's a tournament on a weekend doesn't mean that I have the time off. So I've really got to be selective about what I take time off for. And honestly, this year, now that I've done well in the KBF events, I've got to kind of look towards fishing some of the regional championships and seeing what dates those are on, and planning maybe having to take a chunk of vacation off to go to those, which I will. But I've
training shifts, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I've kind of got to look at that. The ones that I've mentioned just happen to be the weekends that I'm off, and then so that's kind of what I do. I look at my schedule. If I'm off, I pick the events that are the closest to me with the most potential, and then I balance the family vacation time. And what was really fun, and I know I'm talking your.
No, you're good, man.
One of the best times I've had this year, I took the whole family with me to the Susquehanna event, and all but 2 of my kids were working, so 2 of my older kids couldn't go, but that was so nice. Even though I struggle with a little bit of guilt when I'm away for a few days from the family to do these, and by having them there, man, I slept so good at night. There, and at the end of the day, plus the KBF events have been ending up at about 2:00, so And I had all evening to hang out at the campground, go to the pool, fish with the kids, went catfishing with the boys, and just relaxed and didn't really think about the tournament. And it worked out pretty good. I did real well on that one too. So I love taking the family. Last year, I took my wife and I spent the week up at 3 days up at East West Harbor, and I never even pre-fished. Of course, I sucked really bad at East West Harbor last year, but we had a great time. We went sightseeing and had a fun time. So I like taking them with me when I can.
Yeah.
That's
I always I think it's the best tournament to bring like a wife / girlfriend or whatever. That's a really beautiful area. It's like it's kind of a retirement home on like south of the Erie Islands. It's a really cool area. It's expensive, but it's really nice.
Yeah.
That's I'm taking the wife with me. We're 12 hours.
It's a good one for it. Yeah.
Here to La Crosse, so I'm taking her with me to see if that, like you were saying, because I get that guilt trip where I'm just like, God, I should be home right now instead. So I'm taking her with me, and maybe that'll give me a little peace of mind so I can kind of focus on
it. If anybody out there, if you're not going to fish the Susquehanna with the Hobie, come out and fish August 8th with us, the Alabama Bass Nation. We'll be on Gunnersville. If you've paid that fee in another state, you can pay it here, and you can use it as practice for a national championship if they're having it, hopefully, Yeah, so we want to give you all a chance. It's been an hour. We don't want to hold y'all up anymore. Is there anybody you'd like to shout out? Any sponsors, family members, anybody else? We'll start with you, Cody.
Fish USA, New Canoe. That one's been really. I've been enjoying that a lot this year. You've been battling it. Yeah, honestly, I was telling Matt, I'm kind of in the opposite boat as him. A lot of my best finishes have been Hobies this year. So, which I wouldn't have expected, not ever having really paddled before. So I might make it to the Susky potentially. I might kind of add a few Hobies. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But that being said, the motor guide has been super nice, and I've enjoyed that. Dakota Lithium, I'm running like a 100 amp hour battery and getting somewhere between 8 and 11 miles with that XI3. And I'm running 223 Dakota Lithiums in unison now, and I'm getting a lot better runtime with them, more like probably closer to 12 to 14 hours or more. But I'm running two 10 amp hour, or two 10 Hummingbird, 10-inch Hummingbird. So I'm pulling some juice, and it's keeping me going. Yeah. So that.
Where do you put? I gotta see the setup. I gotta know where they're at.
I've got them. Well, I also the Pursuit console box. Mine's like twice the thickness. Mine's a standing platform, so mine's mounted on that.
Oh,
okay. So mine, I can stand up on the Pursuit console box, jump on it, all that kind of stuff. So I've got both of my 10s stacked on that. But it kind of looks like one of the TH Marine mounts, but it's just two Ram Ball and Yak Attack mounts. But yeah,
I bet you get some crazy looks from bass boaters.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I was having issues networking them, because I've got them all networked, and stuff. So all the waypoints are shared, data sharing and stuff. And yeah, you do kind of feel like an idiot working on that at a ramp, putting 2 units on there. And I was like, that's why I just ripped it off one day. I was just kind of hacked off. But yeah, it is really fun. I've been enjoying it. But
cool.
That's about it.
How about you, Matt?
Well, I mentioned Torqeedo. That's been a real big. I can't say enough about that, what that motor helps me do. I know there's a lot of controversy about motors, but I can promise you it is a big advantage. And Jackson Kayak, honestly, 13 Fishing has been really good to me. Fishing online, they're like family to me. They keep me in whatever I need, and they're great people. NRS, NRS just makes some of the best stuff out there, and period. Keeps you good and safe. And Dakota Lithium, I'm on the same team with Cody on Dakota. Man, that battery is. I'm running a Elite 9, or not Elite 9, a 9 Live Florent. Shoot. Anyway, my brain's not working right now.
HDS 9 Live.
HDS 9 Live. bending branches. I'd used my paddle quite a bit this week too, and having that is awesome. I'm always Yak Attack. My gosh, man, Yak Attack, man, they are such a big supporter of this whole industry, and you can take, just about any boat and add Yak Attack to it, and you can make a great fishing platform with what they've got. So Yak Attack's just been a great sponsor. And Cow Coast Fishing, they've been great to me. I've started throwing a lot more crankbaits and treble hook type lures, and I watched Cody pull treble hooks out of the back of the other day, and I thought, man, Cody needs him a couple bait sacks on them treble hooks, so he throws them in that van. But I can't hardly put a treble hook in my truck without putting a bait sack on, or else I'm ticked off because I've got it hung and everything. So. But no, I've been really blessed with some incredible sponsors, and they support me. And this has been the year to support them because a lot of them have struggled with some of this stuff. So
definitely.
Well, cool. Yeah, amen to that. Well, thanks again for being on show, and I'm sure we'll have you all again on soon. Cody, we'll see you next week. We expect you to be here again. So yeah. Thank y'all. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys. Kind of lost Cody at the end there for a second, I think.
But like you said, we'll have him on next week at 8 again. So,
man, I love this. I love what we do. We get to sit back here, talk to great guys, talk about fishing, and man,
I love getting those little like I was over here jotting down notes, man. Like,
man, I got notes.
Oh yeah, man! I'm over here thinking like, oh, this is gonna change my game. This is gonna get my head right. I'm gonna go throw a drop shot in Gunnersville.
Yeah, exactly. I was just, man, you are going to Gunnersville with that drop shot.
Oh, 100%.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get on. Oh, and by the way, I got my Paddle and Fin hoodie on here. It's you can get them online, get them on our site now. I was using maybe I'm late to the game. Like I get it. I've always used a buff. Like I like Boss buffs. I have Boss buffs now, and but I've never had a hood. I know that seems crazy, but I've never had one. Now I have a hood. The last 2 times I've been fishing, I've worn this. Dude, it's great. But you can you can check out, especially since it's been so hot and so sunny. Yeah, you can get
me on those NRS Varial hoodies.
Yeah, well. These are a lot cheaper than that. You can get these for $50. And it's the Mossy Oak one. But yeah, check them out. You can get them from us. Nice product. It says Paddle and Fin on the front and back. I dig them. But yeah, so we'll go over all the tournaments from last week. And as always, if I pronounce your name wrong, we're really lucky this week. We have a sponsor. Scott Butcher said that if I pronounce your name wrong, he will give you a mouth kiss. So if I say your name wrong, just send him a DM saying that I want that kiss that you promised me. That's all you have to do. Just send him that message, and he'll be happy to oblige. He's a hell of a guy, that's Scott Butcher. So first we have SIAC, that's Southern Indiana Yak Anglers Club. That was in conjunction with this KBF on Lake Monroe. 33 anglers. First place was Jim Strunk. He had 70 3/4, and that's what he was the only one in the club with a 5-fish limit. So that tells you exactly how tough that tournament was. And that's local people. He was the only one with a tournament limit at 33 people. So that's crazy. And so Randy Doris had 66 3/4, and Jason Cassidy had 53 inches. Next up, Ontario Kayak Bass Trail on Lake Kekauching. 66 anglers, won Canadian clubs. John Dean, he was on here not too long ago with 84.5. Richard Offner, he won a Hobie recently in that Border Classic with 82 1/4, and Mig Sig, I love that name, with 78 3/4. Then you had Kayak Anglers of Florida on Toho, had 29 anglers this week. We go ahead and put them in here. It's usually 30, but we got them in. Mark Passamato with 99 3/4. Jake Suvak, the Kayak Fishing Jesus, with 81 inches, and Joshua Mercer with 90 inches. Then Moyak on Lake Taneycomo, 57 anglers. Dorman Hughley with 85.5. Jason Martin with 83 and 3/4, and Richie McMichael with 81 and 3/4. Clarksville Area Kayak Fishing Group season-ending classic. 31 anglers. Travis Ashley got first with 93 and a half. Kurt Pugwanut, I know I pronounced that name, so
there is a mouth kiss.
There you go. I think it's Puganot actually, with 90 and a half, and Mike Cheatham with 84 and 1/4. Next up, Natural State Kayak Anglers on Beaver Lake, 61 anglers. Justin Brewer, 76 inches. It went down to a second fish, second week in a row, with Hope Wofford, 76 inches as well, and Justin Phillips in third with 74 and a half. Then Michigan Kayak Trail on the Grand River, 46 anglers. David Keichner with 83 and 1/4. Adam Turkey with 82 and 3/4, and Michael Ogler with 82 and 3/4.
That held you up right there, didn't it?
Yeah, man, it's not pronounced. It doesn't have a Y. Maybe I missed the Y whenever I typed it. I don't know. It's Turkey, or Turkey. One of the two. Nebraska Kayak Anglers on Wanahoo. That's a fun one to say. 41 anglers. Nate Gloria in first with 84 and 1/4. Chung Pham with 83 inches, and Jared Kupf with 81 and a half. Then Oklahoma Kayak Anglers on Birch Lake, 51 anglers. Jacob Wycombe with 75 and 3/4. John Queen, 72 and 1/4. Michael Metcalf with 71 and 3/4. Kayak Fishing Utah on Hiram Reservoir, and the Fluke Master went out and fished that, so he must be doing a world tour. But 50 anglers. Tate Brown, 72 and 3/4. Cody Helen, or Hanley with 71 and 3/4, and Corey Anderson with 66 and 3/4. Next up, Iowa Kayak Anglers on Lake Akarsa, 30 anglers. Only 3 out of 30 people, only 3 people filled their limit. That's a brutal one. Todd Arnholtz with 73 inches. Joe Bailey, 70 and 3/4, and Jeff Kirby with 70 inches. So that was all 3 people who got a limit. And last but not least, 3 fish limit, Cincinnati Kayak Fishing on Rocky Fork Lake, 37 anglers. Brock Spencer with 50 and 1/4. Reese Stratton with 50 inches. And Danny Bell with 84 and 3/4. And our very own Brad Hicks got 8th place. So congratulations to everybody. And Gene Wilson, there you go. Congrats all. Yeah, we love talking about different tournaments around the country. I had their tournaments, and we cap it at 30, 20. We threw in Kayak Anglers of Florida because that's my boy down there. But yeah, if you have a club that you want us to mention, sponsor, or just say something about, even if you have less than 30 anglers, just let us know. Either message me or Jimmy, and we'll make sure to get y'all on. So another great show. I don't know what we're going to do next week, but I guess it'll be that East-West Harbor event maybe. But yeah,
Cody and a guest.
Yeah, great guys. It was a lot of fun. Learned a lot. I like those episodes whenever we learn.
I wish that. I mean, I like that the episode just kind of goes where it goes, but I really like when you really get in their head and get the info to help make you and everybody listening better.
Yeah, and those are 2 guys who are doing it right. Have the sponsors. I mean, you can follow them, and not just their fishing, but I mean, just how they conduct themselves.
And you heard Matt say it, like, you got to soak up all the information you can, and that's the kind of people you want to soak it up from. I mean, there's, videos and all sorts of other information, but when you hear somebody that's on top of the sport, that's the time to open your ears up and listen.
Yeah, and both of them, I mean, look at Matt, day one, was stinking it up, went back somewhere else and found them and won the tournament. And he did not give up. Cody won the tournament in the last 3 minutes.
3 or 4 minutes.
And he only had 1 fish day 1 and said, yeah, I'll go ahead and fish day 2. Went through the whole thing and didn't, last 3 minutes. That's why he's Cody Milton. That's why he's winning tournaments.
Do you think if you had fished that event, you caught 1 fish on day 1, do you think, honestly, that you would have been able to get your head right and go again day 2?
It'd be tough, man. Yeah, I mean, especially staying in a barn. Who wants to stay in a barn with a bunch of animals? Just
No, I
kidding.
mean, if
No,
the
that might-
company's right with those guys, I guess that's what makes you go day 2.
Yeah, just kidding. But yeah, maybe maybe he was, getting a little bit of information from Matt, kind of, oh, they're up shallow. Okay, I can get in on that. But he was punching 10-foot Matt, so it's not like he was fishing that shallow. So yeah, that's, he didn't give up.
See, stuff like that, man. Usually when I'm punching it super shallow, it's little bits of information like that like open your, like, oh, need to try that.
See, I need to punch more. I love to do it, but I don't do it that often just because,
it's time consuming for real. Like
if I'm down in Florida or something, I will, but it's hard to do it other places.
I seriously, like, I went by so much that I wanted to punch on Gunnersville Sunday. And I was just like, I know if I turn and do this, I'm going to sit here and cook in the sun for the next, 5 hours because I'm going to punch every bit of it.
Yeah.
But
all right. Well, as always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next week. And as always, wear your PFDs. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
good night.